So we're back talking about our lab questions application. It's a pretty big app at this point. Please don't feel this is going to be the application that you build in 8 hours on Thursday. It will be scaled less than that, right? But what you should be comfortable with is making a post request, making a get request. As far as like building a more complex application in 8 hours, this is not what we're gonna do on Thursday. Everybody clear? Good. But in that application, we'll be doing at least 2 post requests. We'll be doing at least 2 get requests. So come Thursday, we want notes on how to make get requests and post requests. We come back to this application. All right? Okay. All right, couple things. So we had some feature requests. We had a feature request from Tanya. Tanya says when she clicks on a cell, she's not able to see the title of the question. So we could add in a title of a question. So far we have the lab name and we have the question description, but we don't have a title description. I'll hold off on adding the title description right now. If we have time, we'll come back, we'll add it. But for now, I want us to go to the heart of posting an answer. Okay, so far so good? Okay, so we're able to go to our answers controller. Where did we stop with that? Let's go back and see what our post answer does. So if I go back to my answer question controller, our post answer does not actually post anything right now, but we did write the API client for it. If we go back to lab questions API client, before lunch, where did we stop? We stopped talking about the post answer function in the API client. It takes in a posted answer. It uses our network helper, and it posts this request on our behalf, right? Any questions? Okay, couple things we updated. Our posted answer has a created at date. I slacked out this updated model for everybody. And here we have our created at. Where do we create our created at? Back in our answer question controller, we use the created at, we give it a date stamp. How do we get the date stamp? We use our string extension, which we wrote on Friday. In our string extension, we basically say get an ISO timestamp. If I command click on this particular function, it basically gets a timestamp from our ISO date formatter with the current date. The big thing is the current date. Current date, current time. It creates a timestamp for us. And now we have a created at time. Great. So let's keep going. In my post answer, let's keep going. Let's get access to our lab question API client that post answer, not post question, post answer. And here we need to pass in the posted answer. Pass in the posted answer and we have a completion. Okay, so here we're actually making use of the function we just wrote called post answer. Post answer takes in a posted answer and a completion. The completion captures the result type, which is either a Boolean, meaning success, or a failure, meaning we have an app error. Again, for Thursday, you'll have some sort of object where you have to create the object and pass it to some post API that post. Great. So at this point, we will switch on our result and see what we have. So first, we have a failure case. Let app error. And we have a success case. We'll start off with the success case. Dispatch queue here. At this point, we're all comfortable with why dispatch queue main, because we're about to update some UI. The UI we updated is we show the user the post was successful by simply having a dialog with a success state. So here we'll say self.showAlert answer posted And here we just say thanks for submitting an answer. Okay. If we option click on show alert, everybody option click on show alert. After you finish typing, option click on show alert, jump to definition. Does anybody see any difference with our show alert function? Any difference with our show alert function? So our extension, we have a show alert function in there. It takes in a title and it takes in a message. What else does it take in? Mr. Cameron, what else does it take in? It takes in a closure. The closure isn't optional, right? So if we want to submit some sort of closure on the end of any of our alerts, we could pass it a closure. It's an optional closure. I could decide whether I want to pass in a completion or not. If I want to have the user do something on that OK action, I could pass it some closure in my view controller. It's up to you if you want to do so. But now our function has been updated to take in a completion. Basically, it will be a trailing closure with some sort of alert argument. For example, when the user clicks on the OK button, I want to dismiss the view and go back to my previous view. So when the user successfully posted the answer, they click OK, it's going to dismiss the answer question controller and go back to the detail controller. Okay? So to do that, I need to pass in a completion in my previous view controller. Yes?
When did you make that change? Were we supposed to
Between midnight and 5 a.m. on one of the days.
Okay, because I don't have that.
Oh, right. Oh, I'm assuming everybody pulled or cloned, sorry. Why am I so selfish? Go ahead and update it now. I'll slack it out. Thank you, Tiffany. Everybody else has it, right? So can I just slack it to Tiffany? Oh, you see that? You see that? You see that? Everybody should be thanks, Tiffany. Okay, okay. Guys, okay. So this is an updated UI view controller. Everything, all the extensions we have, you guys could definitely use them. Feel free to use them on Thursday. Cool. So this is what we have. Submit that. So basically change what you have now in your UI view controller extension and add that. And again, this is optional, so you could totally not use this and only use the title and message. Okay? But if you do want to have an action, like the user does something else, when they click OK, you could pass in some closure, which was, we'll see how to use it. We'll see how to use it. Okay, so go back to our answer question controller. In our answer question controller, everybody has this code, right? Show alert. It takes in the title and a message, correct? If we do want to have the user do something extra or our view controller do something extra, when they click on the OK button, everybody, when I click on that OK button, I could pass in some closure here. It takes in an alert argument. Okay? In that case, I want to dismiss the view. So self.dismiss. By not providing the completion, like we just did right now, by not providing this block of code. If you don't want anything to happen when they click the OK, it will dismiss the modal view, but nothing, no extra action will happen.
Okay, so if we did want something
Extra, then you pass in a trailing closure. In our case, we want to dismiss the actual view controller. It dismisses the dialog, but not the view controller if you don't explicitly say dismiss view. Amini?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions about what we just did? So, if we do not pass in this black closure here, the alert goes away. But the view controller itself does not. If I want to dismiss the view controller itself, I pass in this closure here and say dismiss, okay? Everybody, any questions about that? Any questions about that? Any questions? Yes? Created at. I did submit something in Slack earlier, and I made sure. Did you just come in? No, right? Okay. In Slack we have a posted. I updated in Slack. I updated in Slack here. We have an updated posted answer. Do you see that? In Slack, timestamp 132, and updated post answer. Right? Cool. Update those. Okay, great. So we have our alert. Any questions about the alert? Any questions about this view controller code here? Yes?
Okay, so for the alert, you also have used it in the failure case as well?
In the failure case, we will, but we won't dismiss the view controller. Very good question. We'll come up to that right now. Yes, question?
This is the animation.
It's not an animation, no. Oh, you mean this particular guy here?
Yeah.
It's the default animation, whatever like slight little animation it does. It's nothing like fancy animation. The default animation from iOS.
For this example, will we use until?
We will. We'll keep updating it. We'll definitely keep updating it. We will. Not for that block, for the entire block. We are in a whole block that captures. So we'll update it right here. So Mr. Jahid is the police for strong references. So please update, or else Mr. Jahid will take you straight to jail. You do not collect $200. Cool. So thank you for keeping us honest here. Update your strong references by breaking their strong reference cycles.
Alex, I do have a question. I'm not totally understanding the closure on the shoulder.
Okay.
So
Let's go back and look at it. That's what I was doing right now. Before we, so everybody go to the UI view controller and let's talk about what's happening. So I have this show alert. It takes in a title, a message, right? So far so good? So far so good.
yeah.
And it takes in an optional completion handler that has an alert action as an argument. Okay? Doesn't return anything. It's default to nil.
So, alright, and you call it an optional completion because it doesn't have.
We don't have to have an action when the user clicks on the OK button. Not every time you have something else happening when the user clicks on OK. Right? If you only want the dialog view to disappear, OK is OK. That's fine. But if you want something else to happen after the user clicks OK, you could pass in a completion. In our case, we want to dismiss the view controller to go back to the detail view controller.
So when you're saying that, alright, so the alert action, it returns void,
It doesn't return anything. Same as like our escape enclosures on our API clients.
Okay.
Okay.
And what the return is void and it goes in there.
Doesn't return anything. The only thing is what it does here, where it says handler here on the OK action, when I click OK, whatever I passed in gets fired, gets called. Tiffany? When I say called, look, I passed in this closure here, over here. Where is it? Ta-ta-ta. Here. This is the argument I passed in for the completion handler. Do we agree that's an argument? Do we agree this is an argument? Title. Do we agree this is an argument? I have my show alert function. It takes in 3 arguments. Do we agree that title is an argument?
Yeah, it takes a title message and then the completion. Yeah.
Right. Do we agree that this is an argument?
Yes.
Okay? So that gets passed into my function, and it gets invoked when the user clicks on the OK button. On the OK button, if we go back to our UI view controller extension, where it says handler, do we see handler? it says completion, correct?
Yeah.
So that's what gets passed in. So when the user clicks OK, completion invokes this function, that particular closure gets executed. That particular closure gets executed. In that closure, we say dismiss the view controller.
Okay. I got you.
Okay?
I got you.
If you do not want to use it, you simply do not pass this trading closure. And by itself, nothing is going to happen when I click OK. It will simply dismiss the dialog box. Okay? But in our case, we want to dismiss the view controller itself. Any questions? Any more questions? Okay, great. So we said on our app era, we also want to do some alert. In our case here, we simply want to say show alert. And remember, when we say show alert, we do not see the completion in that argument list. Do we see it? Do we see completion there?
No.
Why?
Because it's not inside of the RAM.
Go back to unit 1, where we spoke about default arguments.
If we put a completion inside of the posted answer, then it would come up and we would have to.
It doesn't show up because it's set to nil. That's why it doesn't come up.
Wait, where?
Back in the closure, it's set to nil. If you look at the completion back in your extension, it's set to nil. That's why you do not see completion here after message.
The alert, for alert action.
Exactly. Back in our view controller extension, here it's set to nil. Do we see equal nil here? I remember the lab like it was yesterday. Not the lab, the lesson. Where we had the coffee and the sugar amount of coffee, right? And we pass in 2 for the default, right? We did not have access to that default because it was set to 2 sugars or whatever it was, right? This is a default argument. You set it to nil, okay? All right, we'll come back to that later, but for now, let's keep going. For my error, I basically just want to say failed to post, failed to post, and I'll pass in my app error in the message, like that. So failed to post answer. And here we're not passing in any completion because we want to keep the user on the same page. I want to keep the user on the same page. We got an error, keep them on the same page so they could try again. Only if they were successful, I'm going to dismiss the view controller and go to the previous view controller. Cool. Great. Before I forget, let's see here. Are we done with the failure block? Can I go up? Yes? No? Before I forget, I want to disable the button because we don't want to make multiple requests we don't want to make multiple requests. So we want to disable the bar button item. Can we go up? No? Maybe? Like here? Can we be here? Can we stay right here? Yes? Okay. What we want to add, so when the user clicks on my post button, I want to disable the post button. I don't want the user to keep clicking on the post button. They'll be making multiple requests. Oh, sorry. Not here, up here. So here we want to disable. Exactly. So disable the post button. So we'll say sender, very good. Sender.enabled is false. Again, why do we want to disable this button? Exactly. So they don't make multiple post requests. So we disable the minute they click on it, we disable it. We enable it again after the post has been completed or there's an error. Any questions? Any questions? You could actually press like 3 times before the thing actually goes away, and that would be like 3 posts right there. So the minute they click on that first time, you want to stop it from taking any more input from the user. because they could accidentally make two questions of the same. Okay, so here, okay, great. So one place we want to put it back on is in our guard body. In our guard body, we actually want to turn it back on. If something went wrong here. So in my guard body, I want to say is enabled back to true. Good. Next place I want to take care of this is in my completion block. What's that?
If it's a failure.
Yes, if it's a failure, exactly. Either way, I want to bring it back. For now, I'll just do it twice. I don't want to do this, but that's fine here. So I'll say sender dot is enabled back to true. Sender. Sender is not self. Sender is just the equal to true. So sender itself is a class, so we should actually include sender here. Sender, so weak self sender as well. And sender becomes an optional. Because sender, we don't want sender to also have a strong memory reference to our closure. So in our closure list, put a comma, weak sender. Comma, after our weak self, weak sender. We're also breaking up any strong retain cycles on the button itself. Remember, UI button is also a class. Yes? True. No, just like put it back on, like re-enable it. This is not really needed. This is not needed, actually. Yeah, that's not needed. Very good. Excellent. I love it. In the post answer function. In here? We wrote that before lunch. Oh, no, sorry. That's, yeah. This particular function we wrote before lunch. Say that again, Amini? The sender is a UI Barbon item. It's a class. We don't want it to have a strong reference to the closure either. Okay, how are we doing here? I think we have enough information to test our app. Shania, do you agree? We test it, see what breaks. Okay, so run the app. Let's try to post answers. Yes, Mel, before we run the app, Mel has a question. A weak sender on the other one. Where are we? What line? Over here? Oh, that's not a closure. There's no capturing of any variable here. The guard is not capturing anything. That's why. Cool? There's no closure there. Good? Oh, sorry. Else, yeah, we're not capturing anything here. We're not capturing anything here. You got a fatal error? Let's see. So I run my app, I click on a question, I click on answer. I click on, let's back up here. What question is this? That's the first question. First question, I click on answer. I'm just gonna say Alex's answer. Alex's answer. Everybody, we up to that screen together, correct? Are we all up to the screen together? We're all doing the same thing. We'll put our own names here for now. And I'll click on post. Somebody remind me to increase the font size of our text view. That's pretty small for now. Let's increase it later. I'll click on post answer. Answer posted. Look at that. Click on OK. Look at that. Also dismisses. Everybody, the OK dismissed the view because of the closure we had. Okay? Now let's go to... We need to fix that. We're not doing a question right now. We're doing an answer. No problem. So let's all go to Dear Old Postman and see if we have answers. get answers. This is the get answers URL. I'll slack it out. I know we have it, but I just want to make sure. So I slacked out the endpoint for the get answers. Go to Postman and click send. Make sure it's a get request you're making. And let's see what we have here. So, Alex. Okay, I see my answer. Do we all see my answer here? It says Alex's answer. This block of code. Zoom in. Right, this is what I posted. It says Alex's answer. Are we able to see our own answers? Yulia, are you able to see your answer? I heard some yeses. Amanda is able to see her answer, right? So come Thursday, we'll be using Postman to verify whatever we did. Did it actually get posted? Right? David, did you get your answer, sir? Yes. Anybody else still don't know? What? Did you get an error when you tried to post? Did it say successful? Missing fields. Make sure you put something in the text field. Make sure that your Xcode code looks like this. So in your post answer, right, you have a guard. Missing fields only comes in here. Do you have a not answer question? Not answer text is empty. Put a breakpoint right at 29 and run it and feel what your text view is. Anybody else not able to see? I just sent it in Slack. So take that URL, put it into Postman, and it's a GET request, not a POST request. It's a GET request. Anybody else not able to? see the API is good. Let me try to post and see. Okay, let's try one more post and we will continue on. Not this one. We'll come to that later. So get to a question, click on post. Alex's answer to post answer submitted. So there's a difference. Make sure that your URL does have a URL. I saw somebody else that URLs are empty. So go back to your post answer and make sure your endpoint URL does have the endpoint URL in there. Okay, great. So we're able to post successfully. Other things we need to do, user can post a question. Let's see what else we have. So we're able to do user can post an answer to a question. We're able to do that. But we're not able to see the answers to a question. So that we need to work on. So we'll work on that. We'll continue working on that. Right? So next step is user can click on a See Answers button to get the answers for a selected question. That's where we're headed next. Any questions about posting so far? Right? So that's the second time we've done posting. The posting was successful. We are able to see it in Postman. Now we'll make a GET request to see all answers for that particular question. Okay? Amini, question? Okay. I know we have a bug with our plus button here. We'll come back and we'll fix it afterwards. But for now, let's keep going. We need to update our UI. We'll update our UI for the detail view. While we're there, we'll make Tanya happy and we'll add in a title, right? Is that what you want? Tanya wants a title. So we'll add a title for the question and we'll add in a button to see answers. So a See Answers button and a title label to show what the title is. Awesome. Let's go do that. Let's navigate over to our storyboard. Yes. Run my app. Do we have a next bad piece of data coming in? Yes, we do. Somebody keeps posting here. Malinformed information. Thank you. All right, so let's see what bad data it is. Let's see. We have a bad question somewhere. Let's see. So, it says no value associated with key title. Is it title? Oh, we have a title somewhere. Ah, wait. Somebody posted a question with a title. Let's see. So name, we shouldn't be posting name. Let me just take those out. Easier. Let me verify so we're not sending up. Okay. Right now, if we're making a post, guys, we're making the post in the app. Okay? We're making the post in the app. If we're making a question post, this is what the question looks like. Our question doesn't have a question title. The API is expecting title. The API is expecting description, not question description. So anytime we pass in bad data, we'll get bad JSON back. Okay? Cool? Okay, so let's keep the API nice and clean. Let's keep going. So for now, we're making posts in our app unless we're testing something else, okay? Amini, is yours working? Okay, cool. All right, yes, sir. Dismiss? If it doesn't dismiss, when you click on the OK button, go back to your answer question. But it dismisses the dialog box, right? Very good. So we understand why we had that extra closure there now, right? So that extra closure here is this particular closure. On line 40, on line 50, 51, on your show alert in your success, do you have this closure? Did you update? Well, if you have it, let's see. Okay, so make sure that we have the updated Slack extension I sent out. If you don't, your completion won't get called when you click OK. All right, great. How are we doing? How are we doing? How are we doing? How are we doing? We good? Any questions before we keep going? Okay, let's go to our UI and update UI here. The UI we're interested in is our detail view UI. I almost feel like we should redo the constraints altogether. Maybe we do. So let's click on your lab name label. Click on the lab name label. Actually, the lab name label is fine. The text view will change the text view. We'll change the text view. So click on the text view. Go to your size inspector. Not size inspector. Click on the text view. Go over to your reset constraints area. And reset clear constraints for only the selected view. So clear constraints for only the text view. Clear constraints for it. All right. So a couple of things we need. Let's get a label. That label now is 2 lines. Okay, so that label is 2 lines. We will, what should we do? Let's also clear the constraints for that label. So that label will become the lab name. We'll move it down here. We'll option click. Chelsea, you with us? Option click the lab name. Did it disappear? You still have it? Okay, very good. This lab name, I'll change it over to, what's it, question title. So we have question title, we have lab name, and we have the question description. So at this point, we have all the pieces of data we need. For our text view, we'll decrease the height of it, and we'll add in a button below our text view, somewhere here. This will be called Show Answers. Show Answers. It's a regular button. We could increase the size of it, make it 20. Good. So now let's set up our constraints. So our image view is still constrained, right? Make sure your image view is still constrained. The quickest way to find out is click on the size inspector for the image view. Make sure you still have your constraints there. Now let's go ahead and constrain our label. I'll add 8 to the bottom, 20 to the lead-in, 22 trailing, 3 constraints. For my lab name, what's that? 8 to the bottom of the image view, 20 lead-in, 20 trailing. For the label, for the question title label. For the lab name, 8 to the bottom of the question title, 20 to the lead-in, 20 to trail-in. 3 constraints. For the text view, let's set up the text view here. Text view will be 8 to the bottom of my lab name, 20 lead-in, 20 trail-in, 3 constraints. And for the height of it, I think the height, let's see, what else we adding? That's all we adding, right? The height of it, let's see, we make it proportional to the height of the device. So equal heights of the device. I'll go over and edit my equal heights. I'll make it 30% of the height. Great. That is good. And for my show answers, I'll bring my show answers right below my text view. And I'll add constraints for my show answers. It's going to be 8, the bottom of the text view, 1 constraint, and it will be center horizontally. Center horizontally, sir. Center horizontally. Awesome. So that's it. So we moved around some constraints, but we are good. We're in a good place. We just need to add an outlet for our questions title and an action for our show answers. For our show answers, we'll add an action. Any questions about constraints? How are we doing? Constraints is part of Thursday. I said you would say that. I should go back to the tape.
We have worse things to worry about.
Auto layout, lab 1. I hate constraints. Post requests, day 2. I love constraints. Timeline, a minute's timeline at Pursuit. Okay, very good. Any questions? We good? Our constraints is set up? Okay, let's go to the assistant editor. I know, Yulia, it's so hot. They're killing us. Maybe we could crack the window. Say that again. Oh, you're trying to make us more complex than we are already. Yes, there'll be multiple answers. We're going to go to a table view. Oh, I thought you wanted to have like multiple threads on one answer. I thought you were going like Instagram out there. I'm like, okay, good. This question was, are we going to have multiple answers for one question? Yes, we will. We'll have a table view showing multiple answers for one question. It probably exists already, but our job is to actually reveal it because we're all creating answers already. Okay, so let's get to our assistant editor. Assistant editor, and let's keep Tanya happy here by getting a title showing up. So let's control drag over, and here we have a question title. Why didn't we have that in the beginning? Oh, I think we had it in the nav bar. Oh, that's where I was going to put it, but it's better in the label because the nav bar is only so long. Question title label. While we're here, let's update the UI to reflect that change. Let's update our UI. Update, what do we have? Update UI. Right here. Right in the update UI function, I could simply come here and say question title label dot text equal to question dot title. Let's run our app and at least make sure that our title does show. So if I click on any questions, right, my title shows. We could be a bit better there with the font and everything, but they do show up, right? That shows up as well. We could get a little bit more friendly with the differences, but everybody, your title shows and your lab name shows, correct? Yes? Yes? No? Maybe? Okay, cool. So let us do one change and see if we could change the font slightly. So go to your attribute inspector. Question title is fine. Lab name, we could probably not make bold. So lab name, change the bold to, let's see, semi-bold. Not really. Where's the designers here? Regular. Okay, I'll keep regular for now. So I changed it to regular. I changed the lab name from bold to regular. Let's see what that looks like. Right, that's a bit better. Because if we have a longer description, like no descriptions here. What happened with the descriptions, guys? No. Only if we had search. Okay, this one is a bit longer. Okay, cool. All right, so Tanya, you could see your titles now. Now let's move on to show answers, because show answers doesn't do nothing now. We could answer things, but we want to see answers. Like, does a question have answers? So let's do that. We'll stay with the assistant editor. Right where it says show answers, we'll add in a table view. So go ahead, drag in a view controller. Drag in a view controller right beside this one. And drag a table view to it. And constrain the table view. So we're searching for a view controller. We drag a view controller, a new scene, to our canvas. New scene to our canvas. We control drag from our show answers over to this new view controller. We say show. We get a bar, right? We get a back button. Awesome. Next, we search for a table view. So get a table view over to your new scene, constrain it 0 everywhere. So 0, 0, 0, 0, add for constraints. And we know where we go from there, right? Let us create a new class. Create a new view controller class. And it's a CocoaTouch class, subclass of UI view controller, and we'll call it answers. Let me zoom in here. We'll call it answers view controller. That's where answers live, right? That's where all the answers are. Create. So we have our answers view controller. Go back to our storyboard and give this view controller a class, identity inspector, and its answers view controller. Cool. So this is our answers. We'll simply give it a title of answers. We want to drag, control drag over a table view. So control drag over a table view. Our table view needs a prototype cell. It's lonely without a prototype cell. So we'll add in a prototype cell. Click on my table view, go to prototype cells, add one prototype cell. And it needs an identifier. We'll call it answer cell. I control drag from the show answers button over to this new view controller scene. No, very good. I'll pause here for station break. How are the fingers?
So I have a question. I just noticed that you always put prepare for segue inside of view control, even if the segue itself comes from a button. How come we don't put the segue inside of like the button app? If it's coming from a button.
We'll come to programmable UI later, but for now, prepare for segue is where we do our logic for passing information, right? Prepare for segue gets called automatically by the system when a view segues from one view to the next. Cool. All right, so in our answers view controller, we have a table view. At this point, we all know that's like automatic right now, right? What comes next, we know what comes next. This put okay. We need some sort of data array here. So we'll have answers. Answers is an array of answers. Oh, we don't have answers yet. Okay. We don't have that yet, actually. Let's pause here. Let's go create this. Let's create a model called answer. It's a Swift file. Answer will have more information than the posted answer. Answer is going to have ID, is going to have an avatar. So create an answer model, answer. Answer, we'll say decodable. It comes from the web, decodable. What does answer have? If we go over to Postman, this is an answer. You could actually copy what the answer is. So that's all we need. So go back to Postman. Everybody has their Postman get results for answers, correct? So we're basically grabbing everything. Answer has ID. ID is a string. Answer has a name. That's a random internet name. Answer has an avatar. Again, that's a random image from the interwebs. Answer has a question ID, which is also a string. Answer has a question lab name. Answer has a question title. Answer has the answer description. Answer has a created at. Great. This is what our model looks like. And this model is exactly what we have in Postman. The information we sent up, this is the information we sent up. In our posted answer, this is what we have. The actual answer itself has an ID that gets created automatically by the API. A name gets added automatically, avatar automatically, created at time. Actually, we sent up the created at time. So we sent up this, plus the ID. We sent up all that information. Again, if we had an update function, we could have just used one model and say, just have one answer model and have an update function taking care of partial updates. Like, hey, I want to update my avatar. Update is an HTTP method, okay? So an update HTTP method would be able to partial updates of an object. Okay, very good. Okay, cool. So let's keep going on. Where were we before we stopped here? Answer view controller, that's where we were. So go back to answer view controller. Now we have an answer model. Now the code is happy here. It has an answer. And in our answer, we could say did set here. We're coming from a network call when we're actually about to update our table view. If we're coming from a network call, what do we need to do? Mel. I'm coming from a network call. I'm about to update my table view UI. Update table view. What do I need to do? If I'm coming from a background thread, what do I need to do here? Are you Mel? Mel, she took away your shyness. She took it away. She just took it away. We'll come back to you later. So yes, we need to dispatch main here, Mel. Thank you, Mel. Mel, thank you, Mel. Okay. Cool. So here we go into dispatch main, and we have some sort of table view here. Table view, table view, table view. We want to reload the data. Okay. So we're done with the answers part of it. When we come to this particular table view, we want to have some sort of function, private function, fetching the answers. So fetch answers, fetch answers. So in our view did load, we'll call fetch answers, and this particular function will fetch the answers. It will fetch the answers. So let's go ahead and fetch the answers. Oh, we don't have a fetch answers yet, do we? All the things. Okay, we'll take a break because I really want to take a break here. I don't want to kill us here. But before the break, we'll set up our table view. What else do we need for the table view? We know we need to have an extension on the table view. Answers, view controller. Conforms to UI table view data source. And here we have number of rows. How many rows we have? How many rows we have? David, how many rows we return here? Answers that count. Very good, sir. Thank you. Cool. Next up, we have cell for row. Here we have a cell, table view dot DQ, reusable cell. We have an identifier. It's answer cell. Index path. Return the cell. And we need to get an answer. Here we use our answers array, index path dot row. For now, we simply say cell dot text label dot text equal to answer dot answer description. We could do one other thing here. We could make the cell grow. Make the cell grow dynamically based on the contents of the label. We could do that by saying cell dot, how do we do that? What do I need to change on my label in order to make it dynamically grow? What's that? 0, right? So number of lines, well, on the label itself, number of lines equals 0. Because by default, it's 1. If we want it to grow dynamically, we set it to 0. The same way we could do a label in our interface builder, we could do a label on our actual cell. Our cell has a label, we could change the number of lines on that cell. Okay, so we'll take a break. We'll come back at 3:20, not 3:21, 3:20, right? That's a break. 10 minutes. I said 10, they come back in 20.
Alright, so if you say 8, they'll come back in 10.
Okay, 6.
I tried, I'm sorry.
We'll come back, we'll continue. Thank you.